Hello children, today we are doing Unit 4, 5 Children and It, written by Edith Nesbit. So before we read this chapter and understand this chapter, we should know about Edith Nesbit. Edith Nesbit is popularly known as E. Nesbit. She was born on 15th August 1858 in London. Genre, children's literature. So she has written mostly for children. Her notable works are The Story of the Treasure Seekers, The Railway Children, 5 Children and It, and many more. So you should look for her other works written for children and the other books written by her. She died on 4th May 1924. So children, let's start the story 5 Children and It by Edith Nesbit. So before I explain the story, first we should understand the title of the story. 5 Children and It. So this title is telling us that in this story there are 5 children. Who are they? Anthea, Jane, Robert, Cyril or Cyril. You can pronounce it as Cyril, you can pronounce it as Cyril, both are correct. And a small baby lamb. So these are the 5 children. And what do you understand by it? What is it? It here is this creature which Edith Nesbit has taken. This is a fantasy story. So this creature, you can see in the story, it is not real. As I am telling you, this is a fantasy story. Now I will tell you the story. So children, let's begin. Anthea, Jane, Robert, Cyril and Lamb, they live with their parents in London. Now you all know the city life, full of pollution, noise, right? So they live in London. And now it is summertime, so their parents decide to go to countryside. Now what is countryside? It is a village. Most of you, whenever it is summer break or winter break, we go to our village and enjoy. So in the same way, these children, they were taken by their parents to the countryside. Now I have drawn a small picture full of greenery, flowers and many more. So children, now what happened when they reached the village or the countryside, their father had some work, so he had to go out for some business purpose, and mother also had to go out. Now who took care of these children or who looked after them? Cook and Martha. So these are the children, these Cook and Martha, they are the caretakers of these children. So I hope you have understood this much. These children, they went to the countryside. Now the parents had gone away for some business purpose. Mother had some other work. So they were taken care by Cook and Martha. Now what happened? These children, in the beginning they were enjoying, but later on they became bored. So they decided to go out. Now they went out and these children, the children became bored, right? And they decided to go out and make sand castle. You all know what is a sand castle? You make castle of a sand. Now many of you must have made the sand castle on the beach, or whenever it is rainy season we make sand castles. Okay, so these children now, they decided to dug the gravel pit. What is a gravel pit? You know children, now this is the instrument used to dug the mud out of the ground. And they decided, now when they were digging this gravel pit What is gravel pit? A gravel pit is a place where gravel is dug out of the ground. So it is already a hole. And now they were digging this hole which is already there on the ground. Now what happened? They saw this strange creature. And who saw this strange creature? Anthea. You have to remember that Anthea is the first one to witness this strange creature. Anthea is the first one to see this strange creature. So when Anthea saw this creature, she shouted, "It's alive! Ye zinda hai!" So the other children, when Anthea shouted, they also wanted to see this strange creature. So we have to remember that Anthea is the first one to see this creature. Now, when other children heard about this creature, Robert asked, "Is it a rat?" So now Robert is asking Anthea that the creature which Anthea saw, was it a rat or something else? And Jane said, "Perhaps it is a snake." Anthea said, "No." Now Anthea is saying, "No, it is not a rat and it is not a snake." So now Anthea is describing the creature because only Anthea has seen this creature. Other children have not seen it. Now she is saying, "No, it is not a rat. No, it is not a snake. It's too big for a rat." That means it is bigger than the rat and too furry for a snake. So a snake, when you must have seen a snake, not in reality but in the pictures, that a snake does not have fur. But she said this creature has fur. So the body is furry. And it's got hands and feet. And it has hands also and it has feet also. And it spoke to me. The strangest thing was that this creature, it spoke to Anthea. And what did this creature say? It said, "Leave me alone." This creature shouted, "Leave me alone," and making them all jump back, and their hearts jumped nearly as fast as they did. Now whenever you see something strange or something new, your heart starts jumping, right? So in the same way, the hearts of these children, the hearts were jumping. Anthea described this creature bigger than the rat and more furry. So the body had fur. This creature had fur. So it was not as smooth as the snake. Now Anthea also described that this creature had hands also, and this creature had feet also. So it is totally different. In the beginning of the story, I told you this is fantasy. So children, this is a fantasy creature. This is not real. Now you all can see the eyes also. These eyes are like an antenna. The eyes are like the antennas. Not an antenna, antennas. We can see two antennas. Okay. So when Anthea was describing this creature, all the children, they heard a husky voice. What is husky voice? A voice that is low and rough. So they heard a voice. Now children, when you see something strange or when you hear some unfamiliar voice, you sometimes feel afraid and your heart starts jumping, right? In the same way, when these children heard the voice, what was that? "Leave me alone." So who is this shouting? "Leave me alone," this creature. So this creature shouted, "Leave me alone." And these children, they were really afraid and their heart started jumping. Anthea was really delighted to see this creature and she pleaded. Pleaded means requested. What did she say? Now children, I have written the dialogues like this so that you can understand what these children and this creature, how they are talking to each other. So Anthea, she pleaded or she requested to this creature, please come out. Now here she is requesting. We can see that she is not ordering, she is requesting, please come out. Now this creature, when it heard this request, what did it say? Oh well, if that's your wish. So now this is an affirmative answer, a positive answer. He's saying, oh well. So he's saying, okay, fine. If it is your wish, I will come out of the hole. Now you can see this hole, this creature. Okay. Now it is coming out of the hole. Now next dialogue is Jane. Now what is Jane saying? Can we take it home? Now she is questioning the other children. Can we take it home? So she just wanted to take this creature home. Now this, you can see here that this creature, it is the character it. Okay. So we will see the name in the story and we will call it by that name in the story which the writer has used, but for the time being we are going to call it as it only. So it is saying, does she always talk nonsense? So it is a question again here. So it is asking that, is this girl Jane, is she always talking nonsense? So here children, we can see that this creature is not very happy with Jane's question when she is asking, can we take it home? And it replies, or it is again questioning, does she always talk nonsense? So this creature is not happy with Jane. So children, this creature was annoyed with Jane, and Anthea explained him that Jane never wanted to hurt him. And she said, we won't hurt you. Don't be afraid. Now, when Anthea said, don't be afraid, again this creature, he was really shocked to hear this and he said, afraid? Me? Me? After me, you can see this question mark. He's asking me. And that means that this question mark, here we are putting this question mark to imply that he was not afraid of anything. And he said, don't you know Samiad? Now children, how to pronounce this word Samiad? Here P is silent. Just break the word. Sam. E is here. So it becomes Sammy and ad. It becomes Samiad. So he is asking, don't you know Samiad? He is asking about himself. That don't you know about me? Then Anthea, these children, they really don't know about Samiad, and Anthea asked, what's that? So now this creature, it is explaining, it is a sand fairy. And now he is really angry. Why he is angry? Because he is shocked, he is surprised that these children are not aware or they do not know about a Samiad. And he said, now go away. Now he is asking these children to go away. Now when this Samiad or this creature was about to go, Robert requested, please don't go. You are the most wonderful thing I have ever seen. Now here you can see that Robert is praising this creature to please him, to make him happy. He's saying, you are the most wonderful thing I have ever seen. Then again, now this creature or Samiad, it was really happy hearing Robert, and he said that you are a senseful child. And now Robert had few more queries and he asked, how long have you been here? That means he's asking this sand fairy, you can now call it. In the beginning we were calling it as it. Now we know the name, we will call it as Samiad or the sand fairy. The meaning of Samiad is sand fairy. So here Robert is asking this Samiad or the sand fairy, how long have you been here? So he said thousands of years. Now children, here this Samiad is explaining that these creatures have been living in the sand from thousands of years, since thousands of years. And then Robert and the other children, they wanted to know what happened to the other Samiads. Now here, when they asked about the other Samoyeds, you will see in the chapter or in the story that this Samoyed is really sad to hear or to tell about his other members of the family or the Samoyeds. Now we can see that in the story his whiskers drooped. Can you see his whiskers are down now? He is sad. This picture is showing that this Samoyed is really sad, remembering the other Samoyeds. So he told that near the water, or the children used to come, you can say the beach or whatever water resources there. So here it is telling us that the children used to come and make sand castles, and they used to make moats around the sand castle. Now what is a moat? Moat is, they used to dug sand and create a hole like this. So children, whenever you make sand castles, or whenever we make sand castle, we make moats. What are moats? When you must have seen the kings and the queens around the castles, there were the moats were dug. What are they? Deep white holes that are dug around a fort or a castle to protect it from being attacked. So these moats. Now what happened? The water used to come in these moats, and the Samoyed is telling us that we are delicate creatures, and if we get wet, we catch cold and die. And so there were fewer and fewer of us. Now he is telling us, because of this water, because it entered the sand, most of them died. Now we can say that only this creature is left. So after telling the sad story of the Samoyeds and how they disappeared, this Samoyed said goodbye to the children. Now children were really sad, and they asked it to stay a little longer. They requested this Samoyed to be with them, and Jane requested him to grant them wishes. So she said, "Can you grant us wishes?" So this Samoyed, it replied, "I have already granted you a wish." What was that? When you asked me to come out of the hole, I came out of the hole. So these children, they pleaded to grant one more wish. So this Samoyed is a good creature, and it agreed, and it started granting them the wish. How? It has been described in the story that it stretched its body and it stretched its eyes. The eyes were coming out. Already they are out. They are like antennas. So the direction changed, and this Samoyed granted the second wish to the children. What was the second wish? These children requested this Samoyed to make them more beautiful. Okay, so it granted the wish, and finally it disappeared in the sand. Means the Samoyed went again into the hole, or it went again into the sand. We all know that this is sand fairy or the Samoyed. So again it will go back to the sand. So these children, their wish was granted by the Samoyed or the sand fairy, and they were looking totally different. Now when they looked at each other, the appearance was totally different. So different words have been used to describe these children. For example, Cyril was golden haired angel. These two girls were like greeting cards. So they were looking more beautiful, but these children, they did not like the new appearance at all, and they were telling each other that you were looking better what you were before. So this new appearance was totally different, and they did not like it at all. Now for the time being, when all this was happening, Lamb was sleeping, and when he woke up and Anthea wanted to pick him up, Lamb started shouting and crying. Why? Because Lamb could not recognize these children. For Lamb, these children were new. For Lamb, these children were strangers. So he started crying. Now it took an hour for them to pick him up, and take him back home. Now when they came back, when Martha saw these children, she could recognize lamb because nothing happened to lamb. She took lamb from these children and she asked these children to go away because for her again these children were strangers. So there was no entry for these children in, and they could not get in the home. Martha did not allow these children to enter the house and she closed the door. Now these children had no option. So now they were very tired and they sat down under a hedge. And they knew that this magic or this wish will vanish after the sunset. So they had no other option and they could only wait till this magic vanished or till this wish disappears. They had no other option, only they could wait. So after sunset, these children became normal. Their appearance was same as they were, and then they came back home. Martha welcomed them, but they did not tell Martha what happened, because Martha told these children that there were few strange children who came to her and they wanted to enter the house. So these children told Martha that yes, we will be careful and you should also be careful of children like these. And so children, this is the way the wish was granted to these children. How this wish put them into a trouble, how they came back to the normal life, and how they became normal. So this is the story which we have read, 5 children and it. So it is the Samiad, the sun's fairy. It granted these